You want to see the hardest thing about making these videos? Trying to get the guns to actually balance. What's up, guys? Today I'm doing a video on my Tokarev. It's a Romanian built one from 1953. Now, I've been looking at these things for a while, but there were so many guns I wanted, it just kind of was an idea I had. But they had it for 200 bucks. I had just returned a scope. So with that refund, I decided, you know what, why not? I'm just going to go in and buy one. And I'm actually really pleased with it. Now, when you start taking this thing apart, you're going to notice some similarities with the 1911. I mean, the barrel has very similar locking lugs on it, except on the Tokarev, they wrap all the way around, whereas a 1911, they're just on top. The bushing is similar, the recoil spring is similar, the slide release engages into the barrel link just like a 1911. I mean, you could definitely tell that this thing took a couple cues from the 1911, but it does have one improvement over the 1911, and that's the removable hammer pack. You could just, once the slide's off, you could just pull that hammer pack out. On a 1911, for example, if you want to take out the hammer, you have to knock out the mainspring housing. So there's a pin down here on the grips. You have to take that out, pull that off, and then you have to take the safety off, which on this side on the 1911, there is a plunger that engages into the safety. So you have to take the safety off without losing the plunger. And then once the safety is off, you can take the beaver tail off. Then you can get to the pin that allows you to take the hammer out. On this, anybody can take the hammer out like that. So that is one improvement. If you ever had a broken sear, something broken on the inside, an armorer would be able to replace it like that and field it back out. So in my opinion, that is one massive improvement over the 1911, in my opinion. It also has a similar straight pull trigger, which is actually pretty phenomenal for this kind of pistol. I mean, maybe about 5 pounds. There's a little bit of take up here, and then the trigger pull. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with the trigger pull. And the hammer has some really good texture or grooves cut into it so that it's really easy to cock the hammer. There are some things about this gun I don't like. For example, the grip angle. I don't find the grip angle very comfortable. I don't think it points naturally at first. Now, I've been messing with this since it's a new gun. I tend to just kind of mess around with my new guns and play with them. So messing with it, I've overcome it, and honestly, it points natural to me now. But at one point, I was literally getting into my natural pose and the gun would be pointed downwards. That's natural to me. This is not. I don't have any guns around here. I guess I have my 22 here that has a way steeper grip. But with this, you can see how little of a bend I have when I extend. With this gun, that bend is a lot more. So in my opinion, the grip angle takes a little getting used to. So that's one thing I'm not a big fan of, but I've grown to like it, honestly. And if I really wanted to change it, they do make the grips that wrap around that you can fit over the frame to fix it. So it's all easily fixable. Little things that I would change, like for example the slide release. I wish it had a little bit more meat on it and maybe it came back a little ways, because I just feel like when I do hit it, there's just not a lot that I'm actually hitting. Not saying I can't actuate it really easy. I'm just saying it'd be a little bit more comfortable if it came back. And the mag release is right where I want it, just like a 1911. But there is one thing about this gun I don't like. I genuinely don't like it, and it's the frame-mounted safety right here. This is not original to the Tokarev design, and so all it does is block the hammer. That's all it does, is it blocks the hammer, or not the hammer, the trigger. All it does is block the trigger. It does nothing for the hammer. I don't like that. I prefer a 1911 where it literally blocks the hammer's travel. This one just blocks the trigger's travel. I don't like that. But it does have a built-in safety. So if you release the hammer and then you pull it back to right there, it's at half cock, it's not resting on the firing pin, and the trigger is disabled. You can't move the slide. So you would carry it like this with a live round in it, and then when you would pull it, you would cock the hammer. So if you were going to carry something like this, I would say don't rely on that safety and learn to cock the hammer each time. Almost make it muscle memory. You know, like when you have a gun that has a safety on it, you just, every time you pick it up, you take it off safety. Every time you put it down, you put it back on safety. You know, you get in that habit so that if you ever needed this gun, you pull it out and you cock it naturally. It's a fluid motion. But this isn't something that I would consider for carry. It's a pretty heavy steel gun with a single stack magazine. Now, let's go to the one issue I had with this gun. This gun's been very reliable, and every Tokarev I've ever shot has been very reliable. But with this one, I had a lot of issues with the magazine. Now, you can see the magazine falls out just fine right now. But before, this magazine would just pop out just a little bit and hang up. Well, I actually looked, and there's some patterns right here and here where you can see the metal was scraping. And I just ran my fingers over it, and I felt there was a little bit of a bulge. So I just put it in a vise, gave it a little bit of tension so that it would squeeze the sides of the magazine, and it fixed it. And actually, we were having some issues with the follower scraping. Once I did that, it wasn't scraping anymore. So, but that's not the only issue. I'm going to show you some footage of the other issue this magazine had. I jerked that one. Oh, I hit the mag release. No, I didn't. The follower got stuck. So as you can see, the rounds just kind of fell out of the magazine. What happened was the spring got over the follower and I guess pushed it kind of awkwardly into the side of the mag. So it was not only stuck, but the spring was on top of the follower. So I had to take it all the way apart to take it apart, and well, yes, you have to take it all the way apart to get it apart. Anyways, I had to take it apart to get it out of there, and I realized the spring was put in upside down. So I put it in the right way, and it worked fine after that. So that's just, I had a couple quirks with the magazine. This gun is really smooth. One thing I did was when I first got it, it was very tight. It's still a little bit tight when you dry fire it like this. And I mean, I don't know if you can hear, there's a little bit of drag. I was able to polish a little bit on the surfaces of the hammer, and now I can actually cock it. At first, I would have to really engage into the serrations, which these serrations are pretty good on the slide. But I had to really engage in it to cock that hammer with the slide. But I polished that, and I also polished on the barrel and around the bushing where the barrel slides in. And now it is a very smooth feeling handgun. I really do like it, and it's solid. There's not a lot of play in it, so it's a pretty decent gun. So that rear sight is a lot taller than the front sight. It's actually really easy to cock the gun or pull the slide back with that sight. It's kind of cool. And the sights aren't terrible for, 1950s surplus. I would put a little white paint on it if I, was having a hard time seeing that front sight. But it's not a bad sight, honestly. I've seen way worse. This gun was 100% reliable, other than the mag issue, with, I believe it's some Romanian surplus ammo. So it shot it pretty well. I'm impressed. It was, the casings, though, I will say they were all split, but it wasn't this gun. I've shot it in 4 different guns, the same surplus, and I think they just made it really hot. So it splits every single time for every gun we've shot it through. So just a little piece of information. Anyways, I really do like this gun. For $200, this is really worth it. If you want a gun that shoots the 7.62 by 25, which right now is almost impossible to find. There's only 2 places at the time of this video that I found that had the surplus. So if you can find the surplus and you want something fun to shoot, I really would recommend it. It's fun to shoot the 7.62 by 25. It's a fun round in my opinion. And this gun is pretty accurate. It's surprisingly accurate even with surplus ammunition. It was halfway through the magazine, I pulled the trigger and I knew I jerked it, and there it went. I actually was aiming for the top of this, and that's not a bad little group, honestly. And that was me. I know that was me. So with surplus ammo, that is pretty amazing in my opinion. It's a really cool gun. They don't go for a lot of money, a lot of history behind them. I would really recommend it.